What's up, YouTube? It's been a while. So I actually had a crazy couple of weeks. So I haven't really been able to make a video. Also had an injury this week, so I'm lucky I'm even making this video right now, but I'm not going to be available next week to make a video, so I figured I'd be making a few videos today just to be able to put something out. So in today's video, I actually want to talk about setting up a ball python breeding program, or I guess setting up your collection for you to be able to breed in the future. So I want to make it to where I use the same number of snakes, and I use averages instead of actual values, mainly because it's easier that way, because you never know exactly what you're going to get out of your ball python breedings. For example, if you breed up normal to a banana, you can safely say, based off the odds, half of the babies are going to be bananas and half of the babies are going to be normals. But based off the odd gods, which everybody knows about, you could get 75% bananas or you can get 75% normal. So again, I'm just going off the average based off the odds. So I'm not going strictly based off exactly what you're going to get. So just an FYI. So in this video, like I said, I want to talk about what you need to do to set up your collection, what you need to do to set up your breeding program, and kind of give you an idea of what you can make with, let's say, 10 ball pythons. And you know what? Let's go and say 10 ball pythons that are females, and then we're going to do 2 males, because usually you can do about 5 females per male. Some males you will only be able to do about 3 females, but it really just depends on the male. Some males you can do way more than 5. It really just depends. Like, I have some males that eat while they're breeding and some that do not eat while they're breeding. So the one that is eating has energy. The one that's eating is going to be able to do more. The one that's not eating, I'm going to be watching for him and making sure that he's not overworking himself. So I'm not going to pair him to as many females. So that's kind of something that you should think about as well when you're breeding. So I'm going to do 10 females, 2 males, so a total of 12 snakes. Let's go. And also, you're buying the rack, you're buying the food, you're buying all this stuff to get those ball pythons to where you need them to be. Obviously, you want them to be housed. Obviously, you want them to be fed. You want them to grow to that size where they can breed. So yeah, for 2 years, you're going to be feeding these snakes. You're going to be housing these snakes. So in ARS, you can get these racks by level. So honestly, if I were you, I would get 5540s, and I would just get by level and just get a, I don't know, you can really just go for, you can get a 12. You can get four levels, and then that's because there's 3 sections, or no, you can get 3 levels because there's 4 sections in each level at 5540, and then you're going to be sitting probably at knee level. So if you want, after that, you got a workbench as well. So I would go, you probably already spent, I would say, like $800, $900 on the rack, 5540, getting 4 or 3 levels. So that rack is a one-time expense. After that, then you just have to feed them. Then you just have to make sure that you have room for the babies. And based off 10 females, you're going to be probably, again, producing about 60 babies, more or less. It really just depends on your females and how many eggs they lay. So you really do need, you can get a 1065, and that's about $2,500. And again, I like ARS. I'm too far away from Freedom Breeder to get any Freedom Breeder stuff, mainly because of the shipping cost. So I'm closer to ARS, so I get ARS racking. Now, you've already spent, let's say, $800 on the 5540, getting 3 levels of it, 4 levels of it, however many you want to get. And then you've also spent $2,500 on the 1065, which is enough for 65 babies. So that's enough for all the babies you're going to produce at any given time. So, because there's only 10 females. Now, obviously, like I said, there could be more or less. It really just depends on how your females lay. And really, I'm just going off averages here. So 1065, $2,500, probably like $800, $900 on the 5540 if you get 3 levels, plus the wheels. So you're looking at $3,400, $3,300 that you have spent just on housing. You're looking at, I would say, for those 2 years, depending on if you're breeding your own rats or if you are buying rats, you have definitely spent well over $2,000 on feeders. So just starting up, just the housing and the feeders alone, not even taking into consideration the snakes that you have bought, you are already at $5,400, $5,300, and you haven't even bought your snakes. So now let's go talk about what you are getting. So in this video, I want to give 5 examples. The first example, based off the initial cost, which is $5,400, just to house and feed for the first 2 years. So the first example is going to be normal ball pythons. You have 2 male normals, 10 female normals. So those 12 snakes, altogether, you're spending about $360 plus the $5,400 to house them. So that's about $5,700, $5,800. Then those 10 females are going to lay about 6 eggs apiece on average, some less, some more. Then you're going to have, I would say, 60 eggs. So 60 times 30, you're looking at $1,800 that you're going to make off those 10 females the first year, and probably every year from then on. So you've already spent $5,400 plus it's $360 to buy the snakes. So with $5,800 spent just for your first year, just to house them, just to feed them, everything that you've made is literally paying back those $5,800. So you're still left with about $4,000 debt after that first year. The second year, you're still spending about $2,000 of feeding costs, so you're not making any money. Third year, you're not making money. I mean, you're never going to make money off 12 normal ball pythons. That's it. That's point blank, nothing else. Second example. Second example is going to be 2 banana males and 10 normal ball pythons. So out of those pairings, you'll get about 50% will be bananas and 50% are going to be normals. The 50% that are going to be normals, that's 30 times 30. So you're getting about $900 off that pairing from just the normal side. Then the bananas you can find for about $150 on average. So you've spent $300 on the bananas, but you're also going to make $150 off each baby that's a banana, which is going to put you about $4,500 plus the $900. You're getting about $5,400 from that collection. The thing is, you've already spent $5,400 just to get everything to where you are. So all of that money is just paying back your debt from the first 2 years of owning the collection, keeping the collection, growing the collection. After that, you're still spending about $2,000 on feeder costs. So you're only going to make about $3,400 a year just from keeping the 2 banana males and 10 normal females and breeding them for the rest of however long you want to do it. So about $3,400 a year is what you're going to make. The third example is going to get recessives involved. So in this example, I'm just going to use pied because it's pretty common. So pied recessives bred to het pied females. So 2 pied males bred to 10 het pied females. The pied males, you're probably going to get them for about $250. That's a low. It's usually about $300, $350, sometimes even $500. It really just depends on who you get them from. So I'm just going to say $250 because I don't know where they're going to be in the future. Maybe they're going to go down in value, maybe not. Who knows? But $250 is where you're going to get them from. So that's $500 on the males. And then usually you can find a het pied female for anywhere from $50 to $75. But then again, I'm just going to use the low end because it's easier. Obviously, if you make more money, great. If you make less money, my bad. But $50 of normal het pied. So you're getting 10 of those. That's about $500 on the females. So you've already spent $1,000 on that collection, plus the $5,400 that you need to pay towards practically your debt that you've already accumulated for the feeders and the housing costs. So that's about $6,400. Out of those pairings, half of those are going to be pied. The other half are going to be normal het pied. So again, $50 for the normal het pied. There's 30 of them. So you're going to make about $1,500 off those normal het pied. Now on the other end of the spectrum, those $250 pieds, you're going to get about 30 of them. So that's going to be about $7,500 from the pieds. Plus the $1,500 from the normal het pieds. You're looking at $9,000 just from the pairings. Obviously, you deduct everything you spent, so that $6,400 that you already spent to own and house and feed, that's gone. So you still made about $2,400, $2,600. I don't remember exactly what the number was anymore. So you made about $2,600, $2,500 off that pairing after the first year. From then on out, you're spending $2,000 on feeder costs minus from the $9,000. You're looking at $7,000 that you're making every year from your snakes. Sounds a lot better, right? I mean, it's looking pretty good. Now, the next example, I want to turn it up a notch. Turn it up a notch as in we're breeding pied to pied, right? So in this example, it's pied to pied. Everything's going to be pied. But how much did it cost you to get all of these pieds? So you have 12 snakes at $250, you're looking at about $3,000 that you already spent on the snakes, plus the $5,400 of feeding and housing. So you're looking at about $8,400 that you have already spent. You already don't have that. Now let's see how much you can make. 60 snakes. That's how much you'll get. 60 baby snakes at $250. That is 15 grand. You spent already $8,400. You've made off that pairing, off those pairings, off that collection. You've made in that year $6,400, $6,600. I can't remember the numbers anymore. So you spent $8,400. You made 15, and that is, yeah, that's about $6,600 that you've made off that collection the first year. Second year, you only have $2,000 of feeder costs. Second year, you've made 13 grand. That's a lot better. First year is always going to be rough. The first year after your first year of breeding is always going to be the worst, because you always have to accumulate and make sure you're paying yourself back for everything that you've already spent. Obviously, most people don't pay themselves back. They just reinvest it into the collection and go and get bigger, and grow bigger, and buy better things. So that's kind of how you work this example. You buy the normals, don't make any money. You sell everything, buy better things. That's just kind of how people do it. They sell some things that don't really work for them in their collection, buy something that does. So that's just how people grow in this business, in this industry. All right. So that was the pie to pie. You made 15 grand the first year minus all your deductions, $6,600 net. Second year, you're going to make about $1,300 net. Next example, Dreamsicles. Now we're going double recessive, yo. Again, none of these examples have like more stacked on top, no co-doms, no dominance, nothing like that. Just straight Dreamsicles. You can get a Dreamsicle for about $1,500. You can get a lab het pied for about $700, a pied het lab for about $600, and then normal double hets are going to be about $150. In this example, you have 2 Dreamsicles and 10 double hets. So 10 double hets at $150, you've spent $1,500. 2 Dreamsicles, you spent about $3,000, so that's about a $4,500 startup just to buy the animals, plus the $5,400 for housing and feeding for those 2 years. You're looking at, I don't know, $9,900. So that's 10 grand that you spent already on your snakes that first year. That's not even the first year, that's just startup. After you've kept them for 2 years and start breeding them, the thing about these double recessives bred to double hets, you're going to get about 25% of the babies are going to be Dreamsicles, about 25% of the babies are going to be lab het pied, about 25% of the babies are going to be pied het lab, and about 25% are going to be normals double het. So 15 at $150, you're looking at about $2,250 that you've made. Then you have your pied het lab, that's $600. There's 15 of them. So from the pied het lab, you're looking at 9 grand, right? From the lab het pied, you're looking at $10,500. So you got $2,250, you got 9 grand, you got $10,500. So that's not even counting the Dreamsicles yet. Now pairing these snakes is gonna get interesting. It's gonna be fun for you, right? You're gonna see a stack up real quick. And then with just those 3 different types of snakes, you have about 22. So I'm just gonna round it up, 22 grand. Then we're looking at the Dreamsicles. There's gonna be about 15 of them, and there's going to be 15 at $1,500. So you're looking at $22,500 for the Dreamsicles. So you got about 22 grand in non-Dreamsicles and about 22,500 in just Dreamsicles. So it took 45 snakes to make almost $22,000. But if you're only breeding and getting Dreamsicles, it took you 15 snakes to get to 22 grand. 22,500 to be exact. So $44,000 minus your initial cost of $10,000 for the snakes. That puts you at $3,400. You made $3,400 your first year with Dreamsicle project. Obviously, that's 10 grand they got to cough up just to start. But that 10 grand is going to change your life after 2 years. So obviously the first year is going to be like, what am I doing? Why am I still doing this? But after your first year, it might change your life. Because I don't know many people that are making $3,400 on a hobby, right? Because this is really a hobby that you can turn into a business. So $3,400 on your hobby, your first year of actually breeding. So that's going to be about your 3rd year keeping. So obviously, if you divide that into the first 3 years, that's not a lot of money. But if you think about it just in the terms of next year, all I have is feeder costs, and that's going to be about $2,000. And next year, I'm going to be making $4,400 or 40. Next year, I'm going to be making $44,000 minus the $2,000. That's $42,000 that you've made the next year. So that's going to be your fourth year keeping. And the 2 years of breeding, you have made $66,000. If you divide that into the 4 years of keeping that you've already done, you're looking pretty good. Nobody can really say that they've made $66,000 off a hobby in 2 years. Obviously, you worked 2 years before that just to get it where it's at, but that's pretty good, all right? The last example I want to go off of, straight Dreamsicles. You're breeding Dreamsicle to Dreamsicle. You're going to get 60 Dreamsicles in these pairings, in this collection. 60 Dreamsicles. Before I tell you what it's going to cost you, 60 Dreamsicles at $1,500. That is going to be $90,000. How much is it going to cost you to have a collection that makes you $90,000 every year, minus expenses, right? You got 12 Dreamsicles at $1,500. That is going to cost you quite a bit. But if you got it like that, you can go for it. How much is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you $18,000. That's just the snakes, plus the $5,400 of housing, keeping, and all that. So it's going to cost you $23,400 just to start up. So for 2 years, you're making zero money. You already spent $23,400. The third year, you're going to be making $90,000 minus the $23,400 that you've already spent. You're still looking at 66. I'm not going to say it's a lot of sixes. 66,000 plus a 600, you know, that's that's 3 sixes in a row. We ain't doing that. So it's going to be $66,000, almost $67,000 that you made your third year. The fourth year, all you have are feeding expenses, all right? The fourth year, you're going to make $88,000. So I want you to tell me how you can turn $23,000 into $150,000 in 4 years. There's a lot of ways. Every way involves a tremendous amount of work. For 2 years, you're going to be feeding these snakes. You're going to be taking care of these snakes. That is going to be a lot of snakes, a lot of rats, a lot of time that you're going to put into those 4 years to make $150,000. After that, it's only going to grow from there. You're going to be making $90,000 a year, $88,000 a year net after expenses because you got to feed them, right? This is not taking into consideration that you might grow your collection. All right, this is straight 12 snakes, 60 babies every year, no more work. That is $90,000 minus expenses. Obviously, I'm not taking into consideration electric bill. I'm not taking into consideration that you may have to replace some stuff. I didn't take into consideration the thermostat. I didn't take into consideration any losses or anything like that. I didn't even take into consideration that you might get more than 60 baby snakes and that 1065 ain't going to work for you, so you're going to have to go bigger. So I didn't take that into consideration. This is straight averages, straight minimum expenses, right? So $88,000 after expenses every year. That's pretty good. That's a lot of money. Most people don't make that in their career. So if you think this is a hobby, if you think, you know what, I'm not cut out for it, I can't go without making money for 3 years. I can't go with spending $23,000 in 3 years. I can't do that. I can't afford to lose 23 grand just like that. If you can't afford to put $23,000 on a table and light that shit on fire, this ain't for you. Now, maybe the other projects are for you. Maybe you can afford $4,500. Maybe you can afford $9,000. Maybe you can afford $10,000. Who knows? It does take a lot of work. Most people aren't cut out for it. Most people are going to tell you, yeah, I can do it. On that third year, when they're really due to make that money, they give up. It's too much work, too many babies to feed, too much this, too much that. They sell everything. Yeah, they sold everything, made quite a bit of money that third year, but that fourth year, they're not going to be making money again. That fifth year, they're not going to be making money again. They sold everything. They're done. So most people sell their collections without really knowing that there's more out there. I don't have a lot of snakes. I've mentioned this before. I got about 46 snakes. Yeah, about 46 snakes. And 46 snakes, it's going to take me a long time for me to start making that kind of money. But once all of my snakes are up to weight and all of them are breeding and all of them are making me money, I'm going to be making quite a bit. Now, it might not be what I want to make. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more. I don't know. I'll be surprised if it's more. I'll be surprised if it's less. Obviously, I'll be pretty bummed out. But the thing is, you guys stick with it. You guys stick with it. You can't bail just because you've already spent 23 grand and you don't know if you're going to make 23 grand back. You're definitely going to make 23 grand back. Is it going to be a lot of work? It sure is. You're going to be spending every weekend at a reptile show. You're going to be spending every night talking to someone in California because you live on the East Coast. You're going to be spending every morning talking to somebody because they just woke up and they were looking on Morph Market. You're going to be spending a lot of time into this hobby. It's a 24-hour job. It's not what everybody's cut out for. Maybe you have a career that doesn't allow you to really put your time and effort into keeping snakes. Maybe you have to travel a lot, so you don't have someone to watch your animals. Maybe it's not for you. I don't know. I mean, for me, I have a spouse that is willing to pick up the work if I'm not available. I have kids that don't mind being here and watching me do this, so if I have to watch my kids, I can bring them and let them play with snakes. I mean, let them play with lizards, whatever, you know. I have that flexibility. Most people don't have that flexibility. But if you do, I suggest that you look into it. I suggest that you save up and try to figure out if this is for you. If you don't save up and you say, oh yeah, this is for me, you're not going to do anything. Because you know how long it's going to take you to save up $23,000? Most people don't have $23,000. Most people don't have $1,000 saved up. So yeah, that's the statistic. Most people can't handle a $1,000 emergency. That's pretty bad. But that's besides the point. So just take that into consideration, all right? It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it. It's always going to be worth it. Don't give up on it. The market is looking pretty bad right now, but if you're not producing snakes that sell, you're not going to sell. That's just how everything goes. If you're not producing a car that sells, you're not going to sell. If you're not going to produce houses that sell, if they're not in style, you're not going to sell the houses. I mean, that's just how things work. If you're not producing things that sell, you're not going to sell. So, with all that said, hopefully you enjoyed this long-ass video. Peace.